Hi, it's Katie, and today I'm going to show you how to make Chana Masala, that's spiced stewed chickpeas, a delicious side dish. So here are the ingredients you need to make this recipe. I'll also list all the ingredients and their amounts in the description box, so when you're ready to cook, it's all there together for you. What I have here is 2 cups of dried chickpeas that I've soaked and sprouted. And all that means is I took dried chickpeas, put them in a container, covered them with several inches of water. Chickpeas tend to soak up a lot more water than other beans, so make sure you have plenty of water. And I just let them soak for about 24 hours. I did change the water about halfway through, and all I did was drain the water away, rinse the beans, and put them back in the container, fill it back up with water, and let them continue to soak for the 24 hours. So 24 hours soaking, then after that, I drained the water away, rinsed the beans again, and put them back in the container. This time I didn't fill them up with water, I just let them sit in this jar wet. You want to make sure you get all of the water, you don't want them standing in water, so drain them really well, put them back in the container, and just wait until they start to sprout. So once you see some signs that they're starting to germinate, I'll show you, here's a really good example. Here, if you can see that little tail. Chickpeas are probably one of the easiest beans to sprout. They seem to sprout right away. Even before I started soaking and sprouting beans by habit, I would soak my beans, and sometimes chickpeas would go like this, before I had a chance to use them. I soak and sprout them because it helps give them the optimal nutrition and the optimal digestibility. But if you wanted to just soak them how you would normally soak dry beans, that's fine as well. Or you could do the same recipe with canned chickpeas. Just take the rest of these ingredients, cook them up, make a nice sauce, and then throw in a couple cans of rinsed and drained canned chickpeas and just simmer them together until the beans pick up a little bit of the flavor. I do like using the dried beans though, because they take up a lot less space in my pantry, they're a lot cheaper, and by cooking the beans in the spices you get a lot more flavor throughout the beans. So my 2 cups of chickpeas, dried chickpeas that have been soaked and sprouted, I ended up with about 4 cups once they soak, so they do expand quite a bit. I have 1 onion that I'm going to chop up. I have 2 cloves of garlic, which I will mince. I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of ginger. This is fresh ginger, but it's actually frozen. I keep my ginger in the freezer, and then when I want to use it, I use a microplane. And even though this is really hard and frozen, it would be hard to cut with a knife, it's no problem for the microplane. So you can just grate off what you need and then wrap it up in some plastic wrap or wax paper, put it back in the freezer, and you don't ever have to worry about your ginger sprouting on you and going bad. You can always have fresh ginger on hand. So I'll go ahead and grate about 2 teaspoons, have that ready to go. I also have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to use a can of diced tomatoes and probably about a half a pound, so half of this 1 pound bag of frozen spinach. This is all going to get stewed together and pressure cooked, so using canned and frozen is perfectly acceptable. Of course, if you had fresh on hand and wanted to use it, you could. Now for the spices, I have a whole bunch of delicious spices here. I'm going to go ahead and mix them up here. You want about 2 teaspoons of ground cumin. I have cumin seeds. So I'm going to put my cumin seeds in my mortar and pestle and give that a quick grind. So to my ground cumin, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of ground coriander, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of garam masala. And the garam masala is a mix of a bunch of different spices, and it's sort of essential for this recipe, so make sure you have garam masala on hand. I'm also going to put probably a half a teaspoon of dried red pepper flakes. Generally I'll use a fresh jalapeno or some kind of chili in this, but I don't have one on hand, so I'm going to use red pepper flakes. And these are all the spices all ready to go. So I'll set that aside. I'm going to cook this all in my pressure cooker, so I will fry my aromatics, add my spices and my vegetables, then throw the beans in, close it all up, and stew it all together under pressure. So I'm going to start by adding just a little bit of fat. I'm using coconut oil, use whatever you want, just so that I can fry up the vegetables and the aromatics. right, once your pan is starting to get preheated, I'm going to go ahead and put in the chopped onion. And just fry that for a few minutes until it starts to get translucent. Add a little bit of salt. Once the onions get a couple minutes head start, I'll go ahead and add the garlic and the ginger. And just fry that for, I don't know, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. You don't want the garlic to burn. I'm also going to throw in my spices and stir those all around and let those sort of toast as well. So stir them around and they basically coat the onions, and then just make sure you keep moving them until it still starts to smell really good, and it'll get kind of a roasty, toasty, spicy smell. And you don't want to wait too long because you don't want them to burn. You go ahead and throw your lemon juice in and your can of tomatoes. And stir to get any of those cooked on bits off of the bottom of the pan. So I'm going to add some water. If you're just going to be stewing some cooked chickpeas, like canned chickpeas, you just want to put a little bit of water and put your chickpeas in, and you can see this delicious sauce and all the delicious flavors in there will just kind of cook in with the chickpeas. But since I'm going to be cooking my chickpeas, I'm going to fill it up 2 cans of water, so 2 of your tomato cans, which is 14.5 ounces. So now I just need to add my chickpeas. Give it one more stir so everything is well combined. And I'm going to seal this up and pressure cook it. So you want to put it on high until it comes to pressure. And then once it starts coming to pressure, you want to back it down until you get a steady steam of pressure from your pressure cooker. The chickpeas have been cooking for about 30 minutes. I started the timer after they came to pressure, so 30 minutes they pressure cooked. And this is what they look like now. And you can serve them just like this. You can kind of serve them as soupy as you would like. You could add more water if you want more, or you can reduce this down a little bit, just leave it uncovered and simmer it for another 8 to 10 minutes or something like that. It should thicken down a little bit. What I like to do is just take and mash some of the beans, and that will help thicken the sauce. I'll go ahead and mash these. If you had a potato masher, that would probably do the job a lot quicker, but this works as well. Alright, so that's what it looks like after I mashed up some of the beans. And now I'm just going to throw in some spinach, probably about half of this bag. You could also throw in fresh spinach, but I will just throw this in. There should be enough residual heat to warm that spinach through. If not, you can just put it back on the flame for a few minutes so everything is warmed through. I'm going to taste for seasoning. You might want to add a little bit of something, maybe a little extra cayenne pepper or salt. And there are your finished chickpeas. Alright, this is all ready to plate up. Usually make this when we make kebabs. I can leave the link to the recipe for the kebabs. It's a really great combination all together. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give my video a thumbs up if you did, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.